Certainly we can start. So, welcome everybody to the Sunday Q&A. Very happy to see everyone, very happy to be here myself, and special thank you to Bindaji. I will acknowledge there must be a glitch on my phone also. So for instance, I heard you say, oh no, you said hello to Prakash I don't see. As usual, we'll have a Q&A today. We'll be continuing the Upanishad classes on Wednesday and Friday at the same time, 8:30 p.m. IST. And today is a general discussion, questions with Bindaji on Advaita questions. We can also talk about the Upanishad we've been studying, the Taittiriya. And I just encourage everyone to come up. I was... Again, it's hard for me to know if my phone's working properly, but I was in a room just a day ago, I guess yesterday. I know Breck and Srini and a few others were there, and I know I said at one point, Bindaji, that I'm sure if you had been able to come in and listen at the earlier point, I saw you came in later, I think you would have been really happy to listen. There was a lot of discussion on transcendent versus immanent, and how things ultimately come together, and that this isn't a tradition where we're actually ultimately casting everything aside in a certain level. So it was really lovely. Breck was saying a lot of lovely things. Anyone who would like to come up, please raise your hand to talk about anything. We don't have to polish everything up. I guess I'll share my own experience. I'm glad I have not waited to polish everything up before I talk to Bindaji about things. It's helped me move along in a really beautiful way to just bring all my thoughts forward. So if anyone would like to come up.
When I came later to the room, it was Vivek and Srini who were talking about something, and I could not, catch up what was the discussion going on. Since I was busy there, I exited.
Yeah, I mean, oh good, Srini's here, but the thing that was so beautiful to me, and it was a beautiful way to start my day, is Breck. Well, I don't feel like I should share for Breck, but he was just sharing a lot of things about how he's having insights into the things that were from his Christian studies earlier on, and just seeing the great freedom that's here. And you've talked so much, and I think it's so important, and I'll be quiet in a minute, Srini, about implicit versus apparent meaning. And I think that's where we get caught up a lot. There is so much beautiful implicit meaning, for instance, in Christianity. So that's a lot what the discussion was about. Now that's interesting. Silent put a skull there, and I don't know why. You're welcome to come up here and speak if you wish. And Breck's laughing. Oh, Silent makes a heart now. I mean, I can't remember the particular things in the Bible that Breck was bringing forward that he can now understand, but I understand the spirit of when it becomes clear, like, what the heck is this talking about? Okay, enough from me. Namaste, Srini. Please go ahead. Please.
Thanks, Artemisia. I think I definitely want to discuss a lot of things, but actually I'm arranging, and I also know that some of these things will be covered. I mean, these are just my contemplations, not that I read somewhere or something. I know some parts are going to come up in the next class, so I'm really little bit not sure how to formulate the question, but roughly what I was going to ask is, I'm trying to make some kind of a milestones kind of thing, Vinoji, because there are different consolidations that are happening through the Bhashya, right? At some point, and also I'm thinking, did we reach the last milestone yet? Which obviously we did not. Maybe it will come up in. So every stage seems beautiful. Like whatever kind of things, like we went through how it cannot be certain ways, the pravesa, and then the pravesha has been explained in a certain way, and so do you also see it as some kind of milestones that are being laid down, or is it the right way to look at this whole development of this thing? Maybe you can throw some light on that.
I don't see them as milestones, but definitely there are what you call graduations in our understanding and what you call assimilation of this subject, which we are exposed to from the various Upanishads. And all the teachings which we went through in the earlier Vedanta classes, maybe in the Prakarana Granthas like Atmabodha, Tattvabodha or Vivek Chudamani or any of those things, even the book which is Aparokshanubhuti, which I had taken, that YouTube class is available. There also we have been given a certain procedure to de-identify ourselves with the notions which we are holding on to as who we are. We are not even the ego which we think we are. So to that extent, we are being told what we are not. But it is in this Upanishad where it is indicating directly with the definition of Satya Jnanam Anantam Brahma and how that has to be seen in the context in which it is being explained, with the how it is to be viewed or experienced or cognized in our own bosom or the antakarana. So this way, if you look at it, you will find definitely there are gradations in which it is being taken us. But if you want to call them as milestones, yes, that they can be milestones. But they by themselves are not yardsticks which you are completing. Every yardstick, when you complete it, you know that this is not what I am looking for, and that quest, what I am looking for, will get culminated only if we are able to really grasp the steps which has been given in this one, especially when it comes to Vijnanamaya Kosha and the Anandamaya Kosha, how it is called the Guha, or the hidden, hidden in the heart of human beings. Due to the intellect which is available, we will be in a position to experience, cognize, and reach there with analytical method, not as analytical in the scientific field, where it is a extrovert way of going. Here it is more of esoteric in nature. I don't want to call it as spiritual because that word is not the right word to be used. But more than that, I would call it as an esoterical experience where we will bring it as our own experience. Because even if I say it is spiritual experience, the moment the word comes, we may think it is something outside because we don't think ourselves as spirit. But if you say that it's an esoterical experience to be realized within our own bosom, that will immediately correlate with our intellectual approach and how we can experience in every experience of ours, which otherwise we are thinking is controlled by the subject-object controls. That in that we can see the substratum where the experiences get their, what to call potency to make it as an experience. It becomes an experience when it touches our, sense organs or mind. But before it touches our sense organs and mind, it has a potential which is due to our own nature. And that is what we'll be able to, see it in ourselves, not separate from us, but as our own capacity. But not as the ego's capacity, but without the ego, the capacity is our nature. That is why it is called the Chaitanyam or Chit or Jnanam or consciousness, awareness, all those names which we can use that for that. But that will be a revelation of oneself, not a revelation of something outside. It's a revelation of oneself. And that revelation will give us the full potency and freedom, which will release us from the limitations which otherwise we thought because of our limitation to the body, mind and intellect. That way we have to see it as a procedure rather than as milestones.
Thank you, Binduji. I have some small follow-ups. Since nobody is coming up, I will go on.
Please,
But if someone comes
yeah,
up,
go ahead.
I can
Go
do
ahead.
it.
Go ahead.
Yeah. I am thinking like this milestone idea because the Pravesha being explained as the Vijnanamaya Kosha or the Buddhi Guha, compared to the slight hints we got earlier when the Satyam Jnanam Anantam Vakyam has come in that Bhashya, and also in the Bhashya of Anandamaya Kosha, where the Maya Shabda has been taken and the all-pervading nature of Brahman is given. Now, again coming back to this kind of Pravesha as in Buddhikuva, of course it is explanation of Upanishad, but when I look at it as milestones, the the Satyam Jnanam Anantam and the other one, the Anandamaya Kosha, at that point what is explained, it seems to be little further, right? So this milestone seems to be behind when I'm trying to arrange that in sequence. So that's why I'm getting this idea. That's why I think, I'm waiting for the further classes by Clarify Ethics. But that's why I get this idea of milestone, because there seems to be a higher truth or something which is told earlier, and now that it is little bit, I don't know, I get a feeling that it's one step behind or something. So what do you think?
It is not actually one step behind or anything. We have to see that each of the koshas, which are the sheets which have been mentioned, from the food sheet to vital layer to the mental sheet and to the intelligent sheet and the bliss sheet, each one being subtle is pervading the grosser one. So the pranamaya, which is the white layer sheet, is not as integral, separate into one thing, standing out as inner to the Annamaya Kosha or the food sheet. No. The food sheet is pervaded or by the Pranamaya Kosha. Same way when you come to the Anandamaya Kosha, the last one, the bliss sheet, it is pervading all other sheets. So when it is Anandamaya, you have to talk about as the total experience of the individuality, where even the Ananda is there on the physical level, at the mental level, at the intellectual level. So that is why you cannot compartmentalize and say that, you go from the gross body level to the intellectual level. No. That way, if you look at it, then you will be still having the concept of multiplicity or duality in your mind. When will that the multiplicity and duality will merge and become the wholesome? The totality is every experience, whether it is at the physical level, mental level, or intellectual level, or the bliss level. It is all shows that experiences or the awareness or the consciousness at each one of the level is pervaded with the one which is Brahmapucham Pradishta, or the substratum which is Brahman or Atman. That is how you have to see it.
Yeah, Binduji, correct. So, so for example, like yesterday or the earlier class, the way we discussed resolving the Nama Rupa into existence, when such a prakriya is happening, then there is no role of this Vijnanamaya Kosha kind of step, right? So that seems to be is like a bypassing kind of step where we can identify the existence in Nama Rupa, whereas this Pravesha and Vijnanamaya Kosha seems to be a totally different prakriya. So that kind of thing. Don't you think
So,
that both?
how will you do that, or the existence aspect on the Nama Rupa without the Vijnanamaya? Who will do? Or which kosha will do?
Yeah. Okay. So it's more of a description kind of thing, because actually in the prakriya we are not referring to something like Vijnanamaya Kosha, but as an overall experience for the whole prakriya, we are explaining it as happening in Vijnanamaya Kosha, right? So there is
Right.
it seems like a theory versus a practical kind of thing, right?
Not theory versus practical. The theory is now being put into practice,
Yeah.
isn't
The
it?
practice seems to be like this, like there is a tree or Namarupa, there is an existence that is the Samanya, not the Visesha. And
But you are
now,
not are you not seeing the Nama Rupa of the tree in your intellectual, this thing sheet? Where
yes.
else are you, where else is located?
Okay. But, yeah, this is why I think it's more of an explanation to the prakriya itself, because when the actual prakriya is being done, the concept of Vijnanamaya is not coming. But when we look at it and try to explain the prakriya, that is when we are saying you are doing all this exercise in Vijnanamaya Kosha, right? Because the other
That
way
is,
the use of Vijnanamaya Kosha is when we do that Pancha Kosha, then it makes sense.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's a different thing. But
yeah,
here, the word is that how did that Pravesha from the Guha, where the Brahman or Atman is residing or present as the subtle-most, even though it is pervading everywhere, you are now able to perceive or cognize or apprehend or know the presence of Atman or Brahman only when you are in the Sushupti. But there you cannot know it as something different from yourself. Therefore, when it is says that guha, or that in that hidden in the bosom, when the experience projects itself as nama rupa, that is when the names and forms are coming to the Vijnanamaya, to Anandamaya, to the downward in a grosser level. That where does that whole thing trigger from? It triggers because there is Atma or Brahman inside the the subtle-most level. That subtle-most level is the same subtle-most level from where the Akasha came, Akashadi, up to, the Annamayam, which has been explained to the food sheet. So, what has been told in the initial stages as by the creator Brahman or Atman up to the human being is now the Upanishad is asking you to reverse it, because that same Atman or Brahman is in you as inside your bosom, as the Andakarana, as the Guha of the thing. And now you do the same creation with you as the Atman. How will you do that? That is when you have to analyze how does the Jagrat or the Swapna experiences come out from you when you are waking up in the morning. From the deep sleep, when you wake up, how does the experiences come out for you to call the world is there, I am the waker, I am the dreamer. Both, you cannot analyze the waking alone. You have to analyze both waking and dream. Then only you will be able to do that. By just doing dream, you will not be able to find a solution. The parallel between dream and the waking is identical. That is why we have both the dream and the waking. And the world of dream, how does it come? It is the same way the waking world also comes out. From that Atman or Brahman. From the space where everything has got a location or given space to appear. That is the first one which comes out as space, Akasha. That is the same in the dream, in the waking. Then comes what? The subsequent things of all the qualities of, touch, smell, hear, this thing, all those things, taste, etc. All the 5 sense organs and their corresponding objects, which is Akasha, Vayu, Agni, Apa, Prithvi. Is it not the same thing which is being experienced in the world? We are experiencing the space, we are experiencing the touch, we are experiencing the heat, we are experiencing the taste, we are experiencing the smell. Everything is there as available to the sense organs. So where did it all come from? You have to now the process of creation of the world, which was explained from the Brahma point of view, is now to be correlated with ourselves as Atman, and then move forward to project the whole thing as our experience of the world. Then we will be able to understand that the world is nothing but a projection of myself. It is from me the whole world comes out, not the me, the ego me, the Atman or Brahman. That is the process of the whole Prakriya, what we call it as.
Yeah, thank you, Bindaji. I think one other thing is now this when we talk about this transition of Sushupti, the deep sleeper to the waker. See, some people explain it as a krama, right? So this is in that way it cannot be like for example they might say what's it called? I don't know. It's called involution or avarohana krama or something. But because a krama is also a I don't know. It doesn't. I think it came in the Bhashya, if I roughly remember, in the last couple of classes. It's definitely not happening in a sequence, right? It is the opposite being something like instantaneous. So
Yugapat.
Yugapat. So now, what do you think? It's definitely. I feel it's not that krama, though that krama is used for understanding slowly, but it doesn't happen in that krama, right? Or we
It
cannot
is so
observe it. We cannot observe it
so
happening.
fast.
Yeah.
It is so fast. For us, it will appear as instant because time also has to come in the creation. So space and time is the first way. Now, but when we experience, we segregate space and time. Actually, space and time is integral and one existence. Without time, the space cannot exist. Without the space, the time cannot exist. That is exactly what we have to understand that. So when it is Akasha, the Akasha is not the physical space which we are considering as our thing. This physical space is a Bhutakasha, which has become material in nature. But there, that Akasha, what is being mentioned, or the space which is being mentioned, is the primordial nature of space, which is integral of both space and time. But they don't talk about time because time is none other than in the space itself. Only when it becomes a material space, we are able to differentiate between the time and the space as two separate measurement units. But at the level of the principle of the Tanmatra level, you cannot segregate between the two.
So there is an element of I don't know what to call it. Is it Anumana? Because our actual observation starts after some time, right? Like you said, when it becomes a little bit materialized, when the waker is transition. So the actual process we don't have access to, right? So what should we call it? Like is it like a because we say since that is the only thing that is available, things have come out of that is one of the statement we hear, right? So how would you put this statement in? Because it's I'm sure not Anumana, but it is definitely not Pratyaksha, right? That this krama, which is Avarohana or the involution or whatever is happening.
No, it is not Pratyaksha. That is why at the Tanmatra level, which is happening, which is still esoterical and what we call it as not perceivable by sense organs or the mind. We will come to Yado Vacho Nivartande Aprapya Manasa Sahas explanation later. What is that is important. What is there beyond the words and, verbal things, and where the mind also is not able to fathom the, experience or the formation of whole thing. So when we come to that, we will get into the details of it. But till it becomes perceivable by the sense organs or the mind, there is a process which is given in the Upanishad as the Panchikaranam or the quantiplication, where the principles of space, air, water, fire, earth, etc., even though they are called by that name, it is not the earth, not the fire, not the water, not the space, not the, what you call, all those things which we are mentally assuming. Because we are only able to think about a space where occupation is possible by things. And we are able to think the moment we say about Vayu or the air, we are talking about the air, and people will say, air is only around the earth. How are you talking about the whole cosmos? That is where we have to understand we are not talking about this air which is available for earth, which we are breathing. No, it is beyond, in which there is a sense of touch, which planets, stars, cosmos, everything are dust particles, all of them after having materialized is still having the quality of all the five. That is space, sound, touch, smell, all those things five will be there once it materializes. But before that, in what stage it will be there is very difficult for us to mentally fathom that. That is why it is called instantaneous or yugapat. Because even time is not there at that time as materialized. So wherever there is time is not there, how can you say it is stage by stage or in a krama mukti or in a sequential it will come? No, the sequence needs time. But before the time comes, how did it become? That is why it is not possible for us to even fathom it in the intellectual way. But we have to take the Upanishad as our, pramana, and we can see that when we apply that to our experience of the waking coming up from our deep sleep, then we will be able to understand that between the two.
Thank you, Binduji. I'm good for now. Yeah, you can break.
Namaste, Prat.
Thank you. Yeah, namaste, Breck. Just 1 second there. And thank you, Srini. I just wanted to remind anyone can raise your hand. And I did want to say that also, don't let Q&A hold you back from, I had a teacher once, I'll just take a moment, Binduji. I had a teacher once who would say, does anyone have anything to report? And, sharing just where we're at. I know I do that with Binduji in these rooms sometimes, and he always makes it into a question, which I have to chuckle at, but it's so perfect because then I get to hear and learn even more by just reporting or saying, where I'm at right now. So people are certainly welcome to come up and, just put those things forward. And along those lines, I just wanted to say that that's why, I pinged you into that room, Binduji, yesterday, even though what was happening had passed by the time you arrived, is there's just so much joy to share. And, Binduji gives us so much by having these classes and these Q&As and shedding light on so many things. And, Binduji, just being what you are and letting your light shine. But I personally feel, and this, I'm not meaning to push this onto anybody, but I personally feel that part of the way that can be paid back and that I try to pay it back is to express what's happening with me to Binduji, so that he can share in that joy and he can see where his teaching is leading us. When we're just quiet, then, he doesn't get to share in the joy of how we're being affected. And the last thing I want to say is I want to thank Venkat and Srini especially for the Friday class. I was so happy listening to it several times. I just felt like Bindaji was really kind of along the lines of what you were saying, Srini, in my own interpretation. You know, he was really shining light on a next stage of revelation in a way, especially talking with Venkat, but also with you, Srini. And I was just really reveling in hearing that. And I need to thank you both for your really regular and persistent questioning, and let you know how much it means to me. But that was long, but that was also my way of saying where I am, and really inviting people to be free, and thanking you so much, Bindaji. So I'm sorry I mentioned you, Brooke. I felt a little bad about that at the beginning, but I so much wanted to share a drop of the beauty that you were exposing yesterday in terms of your revelation. So please go ahead, Breck, and take all the time you want.
Yeah, thank you, Artemisia. Namaste, Bindo, and everyone.
Namaste.
Yeah, I don't know why I suddenly got kind of emotional now, but this I know, Bindo, I remember you saying don't get too excited by the experiences, right? They're only pointing to something greater. But I'm pretty excited about them. I'm pretty excited about them. So I know what you said, and I keep it in my heart, right? It's part of it. But I just recently started there's so many things that have been made clear to me by these teachings, and by you especially, and the essence that your heart, the amount that you give to everyone, and because you want them to experience this freedom. You know, when I read scriptures of King David in the Old Testament, dancing in the streets naked, and just dancing because he's so free, right? And this is what I've experienced in this nady process of losing what I'm not. But my question is, and I've asked it before, but it's kind of a deeper one in that the mind, and even the Bible talks about the mind of the Spirit is the mind of Christ, right? So it alludes to crucifying the flesh and live by the Spirit. And so there's this and the Eastern scriptures kind of teach you're not the body, you're not the mind first, so that you can understand that. But as far as I see it, my intuition always told me that the body and mind are part of this. And so as I began to understand this deeper, they are, but in the beginning you have to understand this so that you can start to do nady. But in that joining, it never left. There was never a break to begin with. And this is why when Jesus said the kingdom of God is within you, he's saying everything is within you, Bindo, and yet I would be conflicted as to why then did he have to die? Why a sacrifice if everything that I need is within me, right? And so, but my question is, the mind, I hear this teaching of no mind, and I don't know if it's just Ganmarg or I don't even know if you say that right because there's a J in there. But anyway, excuse my misunderstanding of how to pronounce some of these things. But the teaching of no mind, because I had a discussion with somebody yesterday, and we also talked about it in that room yesterday, which was beautiful, Artemisia. It didn't start so great, but it ended up with such beauty, and that was very important to me to see how that all flowed. And but this no mind, and I'm like, that intuitively doesn't feel right to me, because you talk about the ego as the ego is just a compartment of the mind, and the mind is this all taking place in the mind is kind of my question, because through these transcendental experiences, I know that my behavior has changed. My mind has changed. My body has changed along with these experiences. And that it brings me to what the Bible talks about, the fruits of the Spirit. You will know them by their fruit. You'll know them. You'll feel intuitively. You will sense the fruit of who they are. And the fruit of the Spirit was talked about as love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, gentleness, and self-control. Right? And so if he's saying it's not even words, it's the essence, but this is the exact teaching that you're teaching. But my question is, how does the mind play in all this, Bindo? Thank you.
Good question, Breck. The mind which we talk about as no mind is not the mind we are familiar with, but it is that aspect of awareness which is, or knowing or knowledge or consciousness, which is not actually a mind, but a, what you call a situation, or it cannot be called even a situation. I don't know. It's a being in which you cannot call it as a mind, but at the same time, it is being experienced. With an experience without a mind is something which cannot be thought about. But when we say mind in the ordinary parlor, the mind, as we know, has got the four functions. One is the ego, one is the memory, the other one is the emotions, and the third one is the intellectual aspect of analytical skill. These four functions put together is what is the mind we know as our mind, the human mind. But there is that mind which is part of the universal mind where you are no more an individual. Yet it is a mind where you have all the freedom. You don't look at yourself as an individual or limited human being anymore. You become one with the total. And that sense of totality where there is nothing other than, your own being, your own experience of whatever nature, that is objectless in nature, because there are no objects other than you. You are the subject and the object. So that place is termed as no mind by the Mandukya writer Gaudapada. So we call it as Amani Bhava, or no mind state, where the mind which we know is no more functional, but with the mind which is now with the totality, whether you want to call it as mind, you can call it. But if you don't want to call it, that's also fine, because there is no duality there. You are total, you are one with that beingness, where there is, you are not as the individual, but as words cannot be used for expressing that. It is the totality of existence, where freedom is there, peace is there, love is there, compassion is there, all the things which you said. To whom? To the being itself. It is not the love for something else. It is not the compassion to something else. It is nothing of that sort which we are familiar with. That is why we say that it is not the mind where the love and compassion and everything is being exhibited by us, but it is a self-love, self-compassion, self-freedom, anything which is there, because you are the one and the whole. The smallest of the smallest and the largest of the largest. Anuranigan Mahoto Mahiyan is a word in Sanskrit. The atom, the smallest of the smallest atom. And you are also the largest than the largest. There, you are everything. And when you are everything, you have absolute freedom, because there is nothing to curtail you or restrict you. So the love, compassion which you have been showing because of the subject-object, now you are the subject and the object. So it's a self-love, self-compassion, that type of a thing. Whether you want to call it as a mind, go ahead, no problem. But it is not the mind which should otherwise people will confuse with. For to avoiding that, only we say that it is no mind.
Okay, that's beautiful, Bindo. I understand fully what you just said, but the effects of that on the mind and body, even the ego, is tangible, right? I mean, this is part of what happens. This is why the gratitude comes, right?
Right? That knowledge makes you a new entity. No more idealized by the limitation or the association which is in our memory. You don't even look towards your memory as a, nomenclature to define you. Beyond that, you are still a living being in the body, but not as a limited individual who is there, but identified with the total. So when you see that the whole world, the love, the compassion, the gratitude, everything which is coming out is what Jesus said, love thy neighbor as yourself. Not as thy, how can you see your neighbor as yourself? Unless you are the neighbor yourself. That is what the feeling will come. The neighbor means here other than you. Everybody is a neighbor for you. That is what we have to really understand, so that this, what we are talking in this philosophy of Upanishad, is to really make you a better human being, even though you don't want to call yourself as a human being or you interact in as a human being, your work and everything will go on as normal. But you are seeing the truth which others don't see. Therefore, your way in which you interact and you function in this world will be of a different smell or an aura or a kind of uniqueness which others can sense it when they interact with you. They don't feel any more threatened by you. That is why you become you start loving your neighbor that way.
Yeah, thank you, Bindo. I just want to add there that Jesus also raises the bar even on love your neighbor. He says in Matthew 5, he said, you've heard it said that love your neighbor and hate your enemy, but I tell you to love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you. So this is the empathy and the understanding of the oneness that we were talking about yesterday. And it's just beautiful. It's continuing, and thank you so much, Bindo.
Thank you, Brett. Thank you so much.
Yeah, that was absolutely beautiful. Thank you, Breck. Welcome, Venkat.
Hariom, Bindoji, Hariom.
Carry on.
That's a great conversation to hear what you are learning right now. Binduji, this is in the view of this knowledge. Uh, I now putting word Gnana Chakshu, the eye of wisdom. Now, looking back at that Ishavasya Upanishad, the Vidyayancha, Avidyayancha, that and then or that Sambhutincha, Nistad Vedo Bhaigam Saha. That one learned one, the ignorant will go to hell, and the learned one will go to even deeper hell. I think those contrasts now seems to fall in that Vishesha, that modified knowledge. Dharma, adharma, again same thing. One follows of the game, one breaks it. All that now falling into contrast with this, with eye of wisdom. Uh, this is sort of bringing this Gnana Chakshu. Can you describe further what is this eye, which is completely stepping away from contrast, and it sees the contrast and doesn't take side, doesn't even bother. What is this Gnana Chakshu, number one? And I have follow-up question on this, Bilaji.
See what the Jnana and Chakshu words are. Jnana means Brahman, Atman. Chakshu means the eyes or the vision. The way in which Brahman or Atman will look at things, or the vision of Atman or Brahman, how they see things, or one who sees Sarvatma Bhava, that Atma cannot see anything other than itself, because he knows that he is everything. So tat trishta tadevanu pravishyat, when they said that, so kameta bahusyam prajayeti, let me become many. All those statements shows that there is no two other than Atma or Brahman, both being, used in the same synonym. So the Chakshu means is the way in which how it will experience. The multiplicity it doesn't see. The differences it doesn't see. This is exactly what was told in the Chandogya Upanishad also to Narada by Sanat Kumara. You know what is Yatrana Anyat Pasyati Anyat Shrunoti Anyat Vijanati Sabhuma. That what does it mean? You don't see anything other than yourself. You don't hear anything other than yourself. You don't listen. You don't think about anything other than yourself. Because there is nothing. There is no second one available. So what will you know about? What will you think about it? What will you smell about it? Or what will you do anything about it? So when that type of knowledge arises, that is called the jnana, and the way in which that jnana is now functioning is the vision with which that jnana or the knowledge is functioning. So that is what is called the jnana chakshu.
Got it, Bilaji. Now that Sage Yagnavalkya talk about the Ishavasya Upanishad and this Taittiriya, the complete alignment to all that is seen in contrast. There is this now. Can you now, because this is where I'm not yet able to reconcile is Gnana and Yoga. That Yoga, not the Asparsha Yoga. That not the yoga of non-involvement. That this Gita, in the Gita, that Gnana Yoga, the yoga talked about and Gnana talked about. Now in this eye, how do you see yoga? What is yoga? In this, what is Gnana Yoga? The yoga. Now, the Krishnas, the eyes of Krishna. Now, can we look at this from that Gnana Chakshu? What is yoga here?
To put it in a simple way, Samatvam Yoga Uchyate is what Bhagavad Gita talks about. Samatvam means equanimity or equal way in which everything is being perceived, experienced, and that when the multiplicity is not there, then only you can have the equanimity or the equal way in which you experience. Which he has said in two other places. One is that Yomam Pasyati Sarvatra Sarvancha Mai Pasyati. One who sees me in everything and everything in me is one way he has explained it. Then he has said that what will be the fruits of those knowledge, where he says that Ananyas Chindayanto Mam Ye Jana Paryupasate Teshan Nitya Viyuktanam Yoga Kshemam Vahamyaham. There also he has said that Ananyas Chindayanto, that without being there anything other than me, myself. That is what is called Ananya. The word Ananya means Anyana. So Ananya means without any sort of separation. Chintayanta Mam, one who knows me Ye jana means those who know me without any differentiation as permeating in everybody and everything in the equal measure. Paryupasate, one who does that. Pari means that totality. Pari, the word pari as a suffix has got the meaning that the circle, circumference or the around. Means upasate, mean pari upasate, mean one who knows me all around without any differentiation is in the equanimity. Tesham nityabhiyuktanam yogakshemam vahami. Their well-being and their everything is taken care, mom, by knowing you as him or him as you. That is why when that ananyatvam will come, that non-separation, then there is nothing to be taken care because you become the one who is in control of everything. You are the one who is taking, which also he has said it in another verse. Atmaiva ripuratmanaha atmano atmaiva bandhuratmana. That statement also is that there is no friend other than yourself. There is no enemy other than yourself. You are your own friend. You are your own enemy. If you don't know this, you are your own enemy. If you know this, then you are your own friend. That is what exactly that is meaning. So you can see through and through the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is talking even in all the yogas. One simple thing, samatvam yoga vichyate. This samatvam or equanimity or equal nature in which we see in everything, what is the substratum where the names and forms are depending upon? That is the truth for everything. Name and forms are only suffixes or prefixes you give to that substratum. They are not in reality. That is why it is called mithya or illusion. The reality is the substratum, which is the existence, knowledge, awareness, or consciousness. That is how Bhagavad Gita has told about Jnana Yoga.
Srindarji, now it look like with this inner eye, need to revisit almost everything. Relook at Bhagavad Gita. I think now that you've given this insight, maybe it's the right time. A lot of this will be resolved, and the new insight will emerge. The life we call it, maybe it may not be even. It may become a play.
See, exactly why I didn't take Bhagavad Gita in the beginning. Because to understand Bhagavad Gita, which is what you call essence of all the Upanishad, you should listen to all the Upanishad before you enter the Bhagavad Gita. That is why I have delayed Bhagavad Gita, so that when I am taking Bhagavad Gita after Taittiriya Upanishad, every step I will refer to which Upanishad has said what. And that has to be thought as what Krishna is talking, but it is in his own language, that's all. But it is nothing but the essence of Upanishads in the Bhagavad Gita. So you will see that all the Upanishads are being summarized, and applicability of that into day-to-day life is what is Bhagavad Gita. It is not that you learn it as a philosophy and, allow the bookshelf to dust it or accumulate dust. No. It is your handbook of living. Bhagavad Gita is a handbook of living for the application of the knowledge of the Upanishads in our day-to-day life. That is why the second chapter where Bhagavan starts the whole discussion with Arjuna, he gives the capsule of knowledge. Knowing very well that after having understood that Arjuna has not got the details clear, then he starts explaining the remaining all the chapters are only explanation of that till the 18th chapter. So we will see that the handbook of living by applicability of Upanishads in our day-to-day life, very much in the Bhagavad Gita.
God, Balaji. I think this is guiding us through this right way of travel. So you are our guide, and that's about it. Thanks for taking us through this. This has been a heck of a journey. Every time surfacing the questions, and in every class, looking forward to each of the class. And those questions, my request is that, don't sit in the panel. Bring your question, either dumb or easy, silly, it doesn't matter. Surface your bubble. Then only your water is clear. Otherwise, it'll stay there. Push yourself to this, and go through the text as required in your own language, comfortable. Please surface it. It will be a heck of a journey for you, and that clarity will emerge. I think this is my request.
Thank you, Venkat. And I want to tell that if you have any question, if you want to ask in your vernacular language, also you can go ahead. The languages which I know, I can reply it back. Languages which I don't know, I'll get it translated by Venkat, Srini, and anybody else who is presented. Otherwise, we all know almost all languages.
Thank you, Bindo. That was very beautiful. And yeah, Venkat, and you do this by example. You ask, seems like every question in your mind that you need to, you ask. And I notice, often Bindo will actually correct you. He'll say, no, it's this way. He also often says, yes, it's this way. And that doesn't deter you at all. So you can be an example to all of us that there's nothing wrong with asking a question and being corrected, because that's the blessing we all have the opportunity for. So thank you for being so beautiful with that, Venkat. Okay, so welcome and thank you for everything you do during the week, Prakash. Thank you so much. I'm going to go on to Silent, though. I'm very happy you came up, and welcome, Summer, also. Yes, hi, Summer. Silent, take all the time you want.
Thank you very much. Good evening, Bindoji. Thank you for
Good evening.
your beautiful explanations. I have a question on sacrifice, and I will speak a verse from the Bible, and I would ask you. This is Matthew chapter 26, verse 24. For the Son of Man must die, as the scriptures declared long ago. But how terrible it is for the one who betrays him. It would be far better for that man if he had never been born. Now this is in reference to Judas. He was one of the closest disciples of Jesus. And yet, even after knowing all his teachings of his mission, he chose to follow his own will. Whereas we see the life of Jesus, he goes on following God's will and he sacrifices his life. So the question is it merely symbolic here that the one who understands these deep concepts, the one who knows that this is the most profound knowledge, and yet chooses to use it for his own sake, is Jesus right when he says that such a man should not have even been born? On the other hand, Jesus is using for the sake of others, literally dying on the cross. Is it mere symbolic? Or the death of such an individual who is one with the creation in his own Atman has something more to offer this humanity, like we see in the figure of Christ, that he changed everything the way it was after the death? That is my question.
Thank you, sir. When you were reading Matthew, you were reading Matthew, but I was listening to Upanishadic statements in my mind. Exactly. The same statements from the Upanishads which I am reading. But I'm not going to talk about that. I'll tell you the answer for the question which you asked me. It is not symbolic. Masters, what we call as sons of God or God themselves coming down in the form of human beings, has been there in all religion and all places you can see. Whether it is Rama or Krishna or Jesus, you will find Buddha or any of them. They are the harbingers of change when a society is going through a turmoil, and their life becomes an example. They sacrifice their own life by leading a life which will become a beacon for others to follow, because what they sacrifice is their physical body. But what they are not sacrificing and living for all of us to live is their teaching. All the masters have left their teaching for us to emulate them and live in this world exactly as how it should be. And whether you want to call it as God's message or the message of truth, both are the same, because God is nothing but truth. So when he sacrificed himself, and when he says that such a person should not be born, he is talking about people who do not have trust in the truth, not his words. He has been speaking what the God wants us, or the truth wants to prevail in this world. When he spoke about that, those who betrayed him or went against him are the one who have gone against the truth. This has happened not only in the case of Jesus Christ, it has happened in Rama's life, it has happened in Krishna's life, it has happened in Buddha's life, and you will find all the places, all the stories where you will listen to that, you will have that such people should not have been born in this world. But they are also being created by the same God for the purpose of examples, so that you and me, we are having both the examples in our life. Which one we want to choose? Whether we want to choose the one who loves everyone or the one who betrays for his own personal interest. The choice is for us. And when he says in the Matthew that such a person should not be born, is to deter for me or you to think that if we are following Judas or following Ravana or following Kamsa, like that, in those people who have been doing harm to these people who have stood for the truth in their life, we should not have been born is what God wants us. That fear in us, at least that fear in us, will make us think twice before we betray our own friends, family, and neighbors and everyone. Because the world in general wants the truth and peace and happiness to prevail in this globe or in the surface. But it is those who are what you call selfish, aggrandizing, doing harm to others, like the ones who are not to be born. Those are the people who are detested by the rest of the crowd. And they don't want a Judas to be born, a Kamsa to be born, or a Ravana to be born again. For they won't even name their children in that name. Forget about anything else. I don't want to even name my child anywhere nearby that. you will hear the name people giving the name for everybody else. All the good people's name will be emulated. But those who have betrayed the truth, those who have gone against the, the values of truth, their name nobody wants to give to their progeny. So that is where, when it is said that he should not have been born, means he has no chance that anybody will give the name to their child of that nature, means he will not be born. That will be one end. There will not be a second Judas. There won't be a second Ravana. There won't be a second Kamsa. Because that is how the truth will protect itself.
That's amazing. Thank you very much, Bindaji. I was just wanting to know about, the relevance of sacrifice. The depth of it. It can never be forgotten. So I just wanted to just share this with you and also ask. That was answered perfectly. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Silent.
Yeah, thank you so much, because that really was part of what Breck had hinted at as well. So, Shobha wrote in the chat just now, Bindo. She says, please mention the shlokas you were reminded of. Do you mind doing that before we go to Summer?
Well, exactly, I don't remember this thing, but I know it is there. But I can't recall this particular verse from where it is there. But it is there in Bhagavatam, where it is there. I'll have to search for it and send it across to you, Shobha.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Namaste, Summer. It's been a long time.
Yes, it is. Namaste, namaste. Namaste, Bindoji.
Namaste, how are you?
I'm good. Bindoji, I have a question. And
Before you ask the question, finally I am happy to see you back in your original avatar.
But as I was here, I was thinking of a new name, Revati. I like that name. It's in the audience also. I would like to keep that for some days. Bindoji.
Go ahead with your question.
Okay. Okay, my question is, so, see, I know it will sound like I've asked you before, but this is little different. Bindoji, after realization, different people must be doing different things, right? Like some must be teaching, some must. What do? They start being the best at what they were doing before. Like for example, if a person was a company's CEO, now he becomes a very good CEO in every way. Is that what happens? What happens after that?
Exactly. You got it. You continue to do what you are doing with your individuality, ego and selfishness. No more playing the decision making. You will become more loving, more grateful, more, as you said, gratitude, etc., which is there because that knowledge will give you that what, Venkat was asking, Jnana Chakshu. That is the knowledge with which you will be seeing the rest of the world. And you are not going to become somebody different. No. You will become the same person which you are living with the identity and all, but your interaction with the world will be with a different vision. I won't call that with a different idea or knowledge. No, it is a different vision. That vision, you will not segregate people for what they are. You will not hate anybody. You will not be, looking for benefiting for yourself alone or any of that sort. And you will be generally having a, what you call an approach that everything flows out of me. So unless I am perfect or I am the one who is, the reason why the whole world is being perceived like that. So the responsibility of the individual increases many-fold. I can't even say thousand-fold, many-fold. So that you become a responsible person in the society, so that the society starts looking up to you for guidance, for examples, for living up to what you are talking. You will walk the talk, right?
Yes. So there is a follow-up question, Bindoji. This, like you explained in such a nice way, that the person continues being, but of course he becomes like you just explained in that way. But I have a question, follow-up question is, does this person who has realized and now he's walking the talk, but does he have a special, duty towards the masters who gave him that knowledge, or for the truth to be now propagated? Does that responsibility compulsorily fall on every person? If yes, then how is it done? And if not, then also tell me more. Yeah.
See, there is two ways in which you have to look at it. One is from the transactional point of view, and one is from the absolute point of view. From the transactional point of view, the individuality will be there, the transactions will be there, there will be a indebtedness to the teacher who has taught you and given you the vision and all. But while that is being done by the individual as the individual level, the individuality of the ego of the person separating him from the rest of the world will not be present, because he has known the truth, and once having known the truth, he cannot be an ignorant person to that knowledge anymore, because jnanakti sarvakarmani bhasmasat kurute. This knowledge burns down all individuality related selfishness, aggrandizing, or any of that sort. He sees himself in everything and everything in himself. Such a person will continue to function as an individual, but with a different vision altogether. That is what happens. At that time, he has a responsibility to the teacher who taught him, because of which he is what he is today, to be shared with everyone. But he will not share it with people who are not interested. He will not go after them, catch their collar and bring them, now come sit down, listen. No, not that way. Those people who will see that beauty in this person will get attracted to the person and will start listening to him. And that will make the change for people who are listening to him. Those who are not people are the type of the Judas which I was talking to silent, are the type of people, the Ravana or Kamsa, like that. They knowing very well what is the nature of the godliness in them, in the Rama or Krishna or Jesus, they still went ahead with their selfishness or against them. So such people cannot be changed. They will be there, but indebtedness will be to those who are interested to learn. That will be taught.
Mm-hmm. Okay, one more last follow-up question. Also, before that, thank you, Bindoji, for answering both the questions. My last question for now is, these people who don't listen, or even after listening don't understand, or sometimes proactively fight against, or argue or try to, thwart things, then these people, what happens? Is it because it's not their time yet to know the truth? Is it their destiny? Is it eventually going to be that one day they will also get a chance to come to the truth? What's going to happen, Bindoji?
It is the question of mind. See, this is why we call it as Chitta Shuddhi or purity of mind. Why should only a handful of people listen to these philosophies, while majority are in the gossip or celebrity news or politics or, other things which are happening around the world. Why are they not getting attracted? Because of the difference in the mind. And they have to go through this to learn from their life lessons where they will learn it in a hard way that they should have listened to some people of wisdom. Some may realize, some may not realize. It is all purely the quality of the mind. Instrument, what we call it as upadhi. In mind, the instrument is the mind. Mind means antakarana, mind and intellect put together. So, the more you start listening to this philosophy, apply it in your life, see the benefits you are going to achieve by doing that, will make you more and more attracted towards that. It is just like that, in like any other attraction. Some people are attracted to eating, some people are attracted to drinking, some people are attracted to so many other things in the world. This is also an attraction because also this is also part of the transactional world only. But there is a sense of peace of mind, a sense of happiness which is percolating us when our functions are, when we are living. Our family becomes happier. Our, society becomes happier. One more man less in competition. All those things are helping the society, and the people are seeing this. So when they come to that level where they feel that, he has benefited out of learning to follow this philosophy, others will get attracted. And those who are getting attracted are people who have already done enough exercise towards this direction. Others will continue. It's a long path.
Oh, okay. Binduji, almost clear. Just the last part. So, my question is, in the eternal and infinite this thing loop or time, everybody will eventually understand. Will some forever? Will there always be a diversion? You see, of duality, for example, some in mithya and some not, or everything will come to a completion. That part. I'm sorry if you even explained and I didn't get it then.
Okay. Again, two aspects. From the absolute point or the truth point, there are no multiplicity. There are no multiple people. There is no good people, no bad people. They are all nothing but appearances of that what is coming in your intellect when you wake up in the morning. The world is projected. You also become part of the world, the waker. And that from that point of view, the whole creation is absolutely, there is no need for anybody to get released from that or knowledge or anything like that. But if you think that you are on the transactional world as a human being, as an individual, then you are associating with your physical body. The physical body goes through birth and death. So this birth and death, the resurrection or the birth and death and everything happening to the human beings is a symbolic or in a metaphor way saying that until this happens many times, your mind, the instrument with which you are living, will not get purified. So, in the words of Shankaracharya, it is that Shatajanma Kodi Suhridai Punyo Vina Labhyate. Shatajanma Kodi Suhridam. Shatakoti means 100 billion. Janma, which is 100% of punyam. So you know how much of good work you do in one normal life. What will be the life which you will do 100% of good work in one life? That is one life. Like that, 100 billion lives, if you live that, then only you will become eligible for the knowledge. This is Shankaracharya's words, which shows that it is not an easy path. If you have come this close, means you have completed most of them. It's only you are sitting on the wall, which side to look. You have to decide which side you want to look at. You want to look like a Judas to the other side, or you want to look like what you call Arjuna or Uddhava to this side. The choice is yours.
Wow. Thank you, Bindoji. Thank you so much. Such complex, uh, you know, dilemmas. And you explain it so nicely. You're an awesome, awesome teacher. Thank you, Bindoji. And a guru also, of course. Yeah, I
Thank you
think
so
for
much.
now, I'm done. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Summer, and everyone else who's spoken. Really, this was an especially beautiful Q&A, I think, with a lot of heartfelt and deep recognitions. We could take another question, probably, if someone would like to come up. We have time for another person before we end. And indeed, if my phone is working right, I'll just I saw you come in deep, and I just want to say, I think if you listen to you should really listen to the last class, the Friday class, in my opinion, regarding your question from last weekend. At the beginning, you might not recognize what I'm thinking about, but as I listened to the middle and later parts of the Friday class again, I was thinking about you. So I just wanted to share that if you feel like it. So would anyone else love to come up and really report on what's happening or ask a question of Bindo? We have about 10 more minutes.
Yeah, if you have no more questions, we can also close early.
Okay. So I'm not seeing any hands. Prakash, I really apologize, Prakash. I usually ask on Sundays, do you have any questions or things you want to say?
First of all, Pranam Bindoji,
Pranam.
Namaste everyone, greetings. Yeah. I was listening. There's one question that came up with Friday's class. Srinivasji was asking series of questions. And somehow this aspect of aparoksha anubhuti is something that came to my mind. But I thought maybe I don't know what exactly that means, so I should ask Bindoji. So Bindoji, that's the question. What is this aparoksha anubhuti?
Okay. First, let me explain to you Anubhuti. Anubhuti means experience. But it is not an experience where you have a subject and object. Something you recognize within yourself. Not separate from you, but you have a, what you call, knowledge of a different nature other than our typical knowing of the subject-object transactional knowledge. And here we are talking about aparoksha, means the word aparoksha is to indicate the most immediate or innermost, because the word paroksha and pratyaksha are the terms which are available for. Pratyaksha means pratyaksha, means aksha means sense organs. Pratyaksha means directly for the sense organs to perceive it. That is pratyaksha. And opposite that is paroksha. Paroksha means which is not accessible for the what you call sense organs or the mind to immediately understand it. But in Sanskrit there is this word aparoksha. It is a negative to what is distant or unavailable for the sense organs. Pratyaksha or the direct is what you see with your eyes is pratyaksha. What is behind a wall you can't see is called a paroksha. But here it is talking about Aparoksha means which is not behind a wall, means it is visible to your sense organs. Then they should have used the word pratyaksha, mean directly for the sense organs. To differentiate that means it is beyond all direct perceptions of the mind and the sense organs, yet it is a direct experience. Not through mind, not through the sense organs, but as I explained the Anubhuti, it is the innermost revelation to oneself or knowing of yourself. What terminology can you explain that knowing yourself? We all know that we are not the body, mind and intellect complex. But who we are not able to say that. But a terminology with which you can say, I experience my being as qualification or the qualifying adjectives, I can't use it because there is nothing which I can qualify for myself. Because nothing from memory I can use it. Because I am neither the physical body, nor the mental body, nor the any or not this neti. As of when I am removing all those things, yet I cannot deny my own existence, the one who is negating everything. That nature of oneself, when even the idea that I am the one who is negating also has dropped, yet I remain not as a negator, not as a perceiver, not as a knower or anything, as pure in myself. That type of a revelation when it happens to oneself, that experience is called Aparoksha Anubhuti.
Yes, thank you, Binduji. The reason I was asking that was when we are going through the upasana, and let's say in one of your sessions, there is a deep realization. Would you consider that a movement from paroksha to aparoksha anubhuti? Would you give that a qualifier? Sure.
Even during upasana, or it can happen anytime. It doesn't necessarily depend upon anything of yours. Where you are not there, yet your existence is known to you, is not depend upon any of your existing instruments of knowledge. That can happen during upasana, during listening to the Upanishads, or listening to music, or listening or looking at this nature. Anything where you transcend yourself from what is seen as your transactional world. Not even the individuality is present there. You are there, yet you cannot define yourself. Where all boundaries go, your limitations are gone, your bondages are gone, you are totally free, and your feeling of limitation is also not there. That can happen during upasana or any time it can that can happen, because that is our true nature. The moment we bring in anything other than that, then we get associated with that, whether the physical body, mental body, intellectual body, or from our memories, our name and form and age and gender and location, etc. All of them are our association with that. I always used to tell in one of my earlier classes, without referring to anything from your memory, not even language, can you explain who you are? If you can think about that as an exercise, maybe it will help you. But you have to be truthful to that exercise. You cannot use anything from your memory, including language.
Thank you, Binduji. Over to Vinodji.
Yes, and before you go ahead, Vinerji, just so people know, hand raising is closed now just because this is our normal close time for the room. We'll certainly allow Vinerji to go ahead with what he wants to discuss with Bindo, but we're closed for today, and I'll make the rest of the announcements at the end. Namaste, Vinerji.
Namaskar, Binduji, namaskar. And sorry, I was not there for most of this thing. Yeah, I just wanted to know whether you people discussed what Srinivas was discussing, I think yesterday or day before yesterday.
What was that Sri? I don't know. The Srini, you have to help me. What is Vinod referring to?
Transcendental is, for example, he says sleep is transcendental. And, but then there was a debate about that.
No, I did not touch that aspect, Vinodji. If you want, you can explain a bit to give a context.
No, maybe it's quite some time. I think it requires a proper deliberation. But then we also should not lose Binduji, meaning like 1 week is too long also. So I just wanted to raise that topic. Binduji, if you recognize the question, we'll take it up at some other point of time. But I didn't want to forget that. That's why I just brought it up here.
Go ahead with your question.
No, the question is like, that how do you explain transcendentality? Okay, because anything which is transcendental is basically phenomenal, is what we normally understand. And the question is like, normally we say sleep, deep sleep is actually the true state of reality and therefore it's transcendental. Does that stand in your thing, or how to interpret that?
Have you heard my last class toward the end? There was a question between Venkat and Srini also came. I discussed this aspect in detail. How to look at deep sleep as what? And there are two ways in which we can see it. One is from the point of view of transcendental experience as knowledge and everything. Other one is as a story of the waker giving explanation for missing time of his time space continuum. So that is the time when people call it as a sleep. But sleep is not in itself, if you look at it, a deep sleep, it is not even an existing thing. There is nothing called deep sleep. Deep sleep is not at all there. The reality is that when the waker and the sleeper and the dreamer is no more in function, you are purely in a transcendental state. That state is present even when the waker is there, when the dreamer is there. But we can't recognize because of the activity of the mind and the intellect, because of the waker and the dreamer. The waker, having experienced a dream, now gives the story that I dreamt and then I went to sleep, now I am awake. So it is the story of the waker which we are talking about as the phenomenology or the world of phenomenon. But in the phenomenon world, deep sleep is a terminology of the waker, but in reality, it is not even deep sleep.
Vinerji, I have to say I couldn't hear your answer because there was a lot of background noise behind you if you were there or not, but this was the really beautiful part of the last class that I was talking about here today. It was in detail with Venkat if you weren't there.
No, I'll check it out, Binduji. I think I remember I heard it, except that, I'm coming from a different angle. Yesterday it happened. Actually, yesterday I said the same thing, I think. And it is just that, these topics keep coming up. And, there is like that attraction for transcendentality for at least some people. So we just have to keep visiting and, deconstruct these kind of concepts. Thanks, Binduji.
Yeah. See, if we call it as deep sleep is a phenomenon from the waker's point of view. But the waker has no access to the deep sleep. So it cannot be called as a phenomenal experience unless what is phenomenal experience? Where the deep sleep, where the waker has an access either through as a dream where part of his experiences are projected into the dream and his hallucinations which added together that as a subtle world of experience. But what happens when the waker and the deep sleeper, dreamer is not there, is none of the business of the waker to call it as a phenomenology. So deep sleep, if you are looking from the waker's point of view, then you will say that is a experience, phenomenal experience, which we call it as transcendental experience. Actually speaking, there is nothing called transcendental experience.
No, you are right. You are right. Actually, this is what we discussed also, but I think there are opposing thoughts. Srinivas also was saying at the best you may call this as transcendental, but definitely not the other things. But he also is kind of pointing at the best, meaning to say
No,
that
I
it's
think
only in relative.
I was trying to say what recently Bindoji said, because it's not at all, it is out of the box of phenomenology.
Correct. Yeah, you are meaning the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So that is more in a definition kind of sense, not like, for example, accessing some higher dimensions or something like that. So that's the difference.
That's correct. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks.
This was exactly what I was telling Breck about the no mind state of it. Breck asked me a question in this class. Vinod, you came late. He asked in the beginning about the no mind state. So I explained that aspect of no mind at that time.
Did you want to?
Artemisia.
Yeah, I'm done. Thank you.
Yeah, maybe next week, Vinodji, on Sunday, if you want to come up early and there could be a longer discussion like I think you would like. But thank you for coming up. I haven't been in a panel with you in a long time. So let's just go ahead and close, and thank everyone. I'm just quickly looking at who is in the listener panel. Namaste, Yash, Raj, some of you that I haven't seen in a long time. I don't mean that in a bad way. I've been obligated during the week myself, so I've hardly been on Clubhouse. It's just nice to see everybody. So just a reminder that this house always has rooms on Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday at 8:30 p.m. IST, and we'll continue with the Taittiriya. This is coming Wednesday. We learned last week that there'll probably be 15 or maybe more classes still for Taittiriya before we would at some point then move on to Bhagavad Gita. So again, I want to give a special thank you to Prakash. Right now, he's taking that main responsibility to moderate with Bindo on the weekday classes. Thank you so much for that, Prakash. What else? Just to remind people that replays for the classes are available here and also on the YouTube channel Advaita Retold. At this point, the Q&A replays are simply here. They're not on YouTube yet at this point. But there are many additional really beautiful teachings on the YouTube channel. And I really appreciated today, Bindoji, when you used the word esoteric. And it reminded me of your Nasadiya teachings and the Manicca Panchakam teachings. I'm going by memory on what that was called, so I apologize if I didn't get that quite right. But getting into the more esoteric levels and the real level of living this in our life are beautifully exemplified there. At any rate, I've gone on too long. The main thanks is to you, Bindoji. I'm very happy to be here with you, and we're very grateful for the time you've given us. Before Bindoji closes the room, Prakash, would you like to add anything else regarding the house or anything else?
No, just a reminder of the upcoming Wednesday class, and it's a continuation of so there's an obvious need to do the Shravana Manana, listen to the replay. Just a reminder about that, and yeah, over to you, Artemisia. And thank you, Bindoji, again.
Okay. Thank you, Artemisia. Thank you, Prakash, Srini, Vinod, Venkat, Breck, Silent, all the people who are there in the audience. So we'll meet you on Wednesday with the balance of the Taittiriya Upanishad. Thank you all. Hari Om. Namaste.
Namaste.